welcome to Out of the Box Radio with me, your host, Christine Blosdale. Out of the Box Radio is a weekly podcast of audible ear candy dedicated to bringing a fresh perspective on this thing that we call life. And each and every week, we're going to be diving into the topics that matter most with lively conversations on issues such as health, wellness, and transformational healing, all with the goal of creating a better world and becoming a happier human being. I will be your tour guide for this epic adventure, and each and every week we're going to be embarking on a journey with the ultimate goal being transformation to our highest potential. And now, let's get out of the box. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Out of the Box Radio. I am your host, Christine Blosdale, and I am very, very happy about today's show. I don't know about you, if you're suffering from the same situation I am, but I'm guessing you are, because probably 99% of the population has this particular set of issues. And my guest today is going to illuminate us about the core problem and what we can do to fix it. My guest is Julia Loggins, and Julia, after a childhood of life-threatening illness and disease, including asthma, rheumatoid arthritis, bleeding ulcers, and blood sugars, she began studying holistic medicine to save her own life. She also embraced the world of regenerative medicine and the understanding of stress and toxicity as the source of illness and disease. Julia Loggins is the author of Detoxify Your Life, and this is a great title too, Julia. It Takes Guts to Be Happy. I love that title. That title alone, your publisher must have loved you. Or did you self-publish?
That was me. Yes.
God, you're brilliant.
Oh,
anyway, I want to welcome to the show, to Out of the Box Radio, Julia Loggins. Welcome, Julia.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
So, as I was setting up in the beginning, and you can tell, I would really love for you to tell the listeners how you got to where you are today, what changes that obviously that you had to make. But let's talk about the very beginning, and then we're going to talk about these incredible books and the services you offer, but especially the books, because people all around the world can access this information. But let's let our listeners know you had a little bit of a rough childhood, yay?
I had a rough childhood, so I spent most of my childhood hospitalized. From the time I was a year old, I had asthma, life-threatening asthma. And I was born in 1955, so I'm a bit older than you. And
just a little.
A little. And, this was the beginning of the pharmaceutical age. I couldn't breathe on a regular basis. I was given drugs, including steroids, early on, and began getting hospitalized at an early age with anaphylactic reactions. That's those kind of reactions that, we sometimes hear about people having when they have a bee sting, where all of a sudden their throat swells up and closes down and they stop breathing. They have to go to the hospital. So this was my childhood. And because of all the medications that doctors would give my parents to what they thought was help me stay alive, these drugs kept shutting down one organ after another. So by the time I got to be an early teenager, the doctors told my parents that I wouldn't live to be 17. And they didn't know what else to do. Went to one doctor after another. I had one organ shutting down after another. So I had bleeding ulcers from all the medications. I had the rheumatoid arthritis. I had migraines. I took basically what asthma medication is speed. So I had insomnia. I had all sorts of emotional issues. I had huge blood sugar ups and downs. Nobody knew anything. This is the 60s. So diet, nobody told my parents anything about. Maybe she has an issue with wheat, milk, sugar, and
wheat, milk, and sugar was the diet in the 60s.
Yeah, it was. That was a standard American diet. That's what everybody was eating. And my mom, bless her, was excited to not have to cook food fresh like my grandma did. So she was excited to be able to buy a fruit cocktail and frozen vegetables that had
TV dinners.
TV dinners. So as I'm falling apart, and feeling like during that period of time that there just wasn't going to be much hope for me. There was a woman in our neighborhood that everybody thought was the town kook, and she went to a medical doctor in Pasadena that gave her. I remember him giving her desiccated liver and things that were called health food. And she talked to my parents and said, I know this, you may think it's crazy to visit him, but we've all heard the prognosis about Julia, and maybe you'll consider trying him. And his name was Dr. Robert Pottinger. His family was very famous for doing the Pottinger cat studies, which is the first family in medicine to start researching environmental toxicity and what it was doing.
Wow.
And this was, nobody talked about environmental toxicity in those days. And that I was a canary in the coal mine and I was reacting to everything. And we all know now that the things I was reacting to, the poisons I was reacting to, are actually poison. And they do actually affect all of us, no matter how healthy and strong we are. Mm-hmm. Some of us who are very, very sensitive just reacted sooner, and I was one of those people. So we went to Dr. Pottinger, and he looked at me, and he said to my parents, if we don't get her off of all of these drugs, she'll be dead in a year. And they said, it's the drugs that are saving her life. And he said, it's the drugs that are killing her. And we're going to take her off of wheat, sugar, dairy, all preservatives, all food colorings. He gave me food allergy tests and discovered there's only at the time 5 things I wasn't allergic to. My immune system was so whacked out that I had become a universal reactor. So I was just reacting to everything. And in fact, I'd had 2 death experiences, and my 3rd death experience was in his office where I stopped breathing, and I remember leaving my body. I'd had an anaphylactic reaction to a allergy test he was giving me. But it was the time I really remember the most deeply. It was so powerful, where I remember watching the paramedics working on my body. I remember looking at my mom in the waiting room. I remember seeing Dr. Pottinger right next to me. And I remember leaving my body, and it was a huge relief because my body was in so much pain all the time. Right. And I remember going into the light, and all of a sudden some kind of an angel form appeared and said to me in words that I just heard in my head, this isn't your time. You have something to do, and you'll never be alone again. And then, boom, I was right back in my body. And but I felt something had shifted. And Dr. Pottinger stayed with me for 2 days in the hospital while I recovered from that. And just I think in that emotional connection, in someone telling me I wasn't crazy, and someone telling me that physiological things were going on. Now, there were absolutely emotional things that were also going on, things that I'd been dealing with in my family, childhood stress.
As we all do.
As we all do.
Right.
Absolutely, that I would later learn had a lot to do with my reactions, and that was a part of my healing process. But just in that one piece, just that person to connect to was a bridge, for me, and the beginning of my healing process.
Now, when you took the allergy test, was that like a blood test? How was that done? That was back in the day.
In the day.
But how was that done?
That was where they would put little tiny bits of whatever those substances are, which is probably why I had an anaphylactic attack and stopped breathing. That's how they did it in those days. And I remember, I don't think he did any more after that. And they still do. They still do. There's all kinds of allergy tests that they do now, and yes, things have come a long way since then.
Do you do that in your practice, or do you just assume that everybody is allergic to these? Yeah,
yeah, I do. I assume, and after having had done this to save my own life, and had a practice now for 35 years with such a huge, wide range of of people and who come in with a wide range of modalities, I have a pretty good intuitive sense of what people are dealing with. The minute they just start talking about it, they tell me what their symptoms are and what they're feeling, I have a strong sense of what they are.
I was just going to ask you that because I use my intuitive. We are all intuitive too, by the way, folks. It doesn't matter if you're a car mechanic or if you are someone who works with people in the health industry, or if you're a radio host. The intuitive nature that we are, that we have, and we've had since we were born, is so unique. And I love to hear the stories when you're actually working with people and they're just starting to tell you. I'm curious because I'll actually get. It's not the voice. It's not a voice, right? It's not a thought.
Right.
I don't know what it is.
It's not really a thought. It's just and sometimes people will say, how did you know that?
Yeah. How did you know that?
And it's just, and especially while I'm working, because I can't say that this is 24/7 in my whole entire life, but definitely in my work, I'm open to that place where I'm feeling that information, and because my work is so often one-on-one, and it's a very intimate connection, I really feel like the person allows me, gives me permission to kind of come into their space.
Yeah, they trust you.
They trust me, and that's my job, is to set up an absolutely safe space, because so much of what goes on in the gut is where we hold all our pain and all our past wounds and sexual abuse.
Girl, tell me about it.
Yeah,
all the pain,
all of that is here. So,
the gut.
The gut.
The gut. We don't talk about the gut. We never even medical doctors. I mean, my goodness, they do all this training and everything, and they have very little education and training in nutrition.
Yes, very little.
And in the gut, on the intestines and all of that. So one of the books, one of the titles of your book, it's such a great title. It takes guts to be happy. I want you to venture, and now California is different than the rest of the country.
Yes.
And I would say, America is unique compared to the rest of the world. But would you say that the majority of people walking around on the planet have some sort of dysfunction or issues related to their guts?
Oh, absolutely. And in my practice, I have even healthy young people, which I love more and more, because they're so sensitive and they allow themselves to feel what's happening, rather instead of just getting to where they're
like us adults who just push through it and go, "I'll be fine."
That's right. I'll be fine. I'm supposed to be strong. I can't be weak.
So I'll take me as the case. A relatively healthy, but I am when I'm in crazy work mode. I have zero time, so I'm stressed for time.
Right.
I'm just stressed in general. My sleep patterns are way wacky off because the love of my life is in another country, so we have the time zone thing. So I don't get a whole lot of sleep. I crave carbohydrate. I crave crackers, chips, crispy, crunchy things that are not carrots. Okay, I crave it. I do. I crave it, and I try, and I stay away as much as I can. And I can even for like a long time, if I'm doing some type of a juice cleanse or something like that, the moment I put in my mouth a piece of anything that has wheat in it, and and I love pasta. I love garlic bread. I love it all. And the minute I put just a little tiny bit, Julia, it doesn't matter.
Right, it doesn't.
It could be one little cracker. My stomach, my belly, just like, I'm like, are you kidding me? And I feel uncomfortable. I don't feel comfortable in my clothes. I don't feel. I mean, it's something that's serious, and I want to know what the heck is going on with my body.
So one of the things that's probably going on, besides the stress, because we've all got that, and I know you're aware of that, is you probably have an overgrowth of Candida.
Say what?
Do you know what that is? You've heard of that, right?
I've heard of it. I've kind of ignored anything about it because it does not sound good. Okay, so tell me about this overgrowth of Candida.
Okay. So Candida is a yeast that we all have in our bodies, and we can have too much of it, so it's out of balance, because we have a little of everything, and we even have cancer cells in our body.
Yes, exactly.
It's when they're out of balance that's the problem. So what makes them out of balance is stress all by itself. Stress alone can just throw our bodies out of balance. And if you've ever had antibiotics,
as a kid, I think.
As a kid, yes. But just the stress of regular mainstream life, plus all the toxins that we're dealing with on a regular basis, that is just because of the environment that we live in, and because we live in basically Stone Age bodies that haven't mutated to the way the world has mutated in the last 150 years, especially even the last 25 years. So our bodies can't deal with it. So what's happening in our gut, and possibly even in your gut, is there's this
definitely in my gut.
Definitely in your gut. There's this overgrowth of Candida that when carbohydrates hit it, which is number one, makes you crave them. It makes you feel like it's all you want, and as if it's like a drug that you can't control.
It's crack.
Yeah, it's like it is. It is. Crackers are a gateway drug.
Crackers are crack.
Crackers are crack. Exactly.
That's going to be the new title of your next book.
Yes, exactly. Oh, it's a great title. I like that.
It's yours.
You
Go
get
ahead.
credit. Thank you. Yeah, so then your gut just blows up. That's that feeling.
Yeah.
It's for real. That just blows up.
Is that gas, or is that growth of the what is it, Candida?
Yes,
what is it? Is it a bug? Is it a worm?
Yes.
Is it what is it?
It's a bacteria. It's and it is a growth, and it can be controlled. So there is hope at the end of this tunnel. Okay. Now that doesn't mean for someone who's wheat sensitive, which is, by the way, all of us, especially in America, because of how our wheat is treated.
Thank you. It's not your grandmother's wheat.
This is not our grandmother's wheat.
It's been hybridized,
GMO,
bastardized, GMO-fied. Mm-hmm. It's not, it's not wheat anymore.
Right.
It's not bread.
It's not.
It's the devil.
It's the devil, exactly. So it's it's everyone who's going to be wheat sensitive, and so the best antidote for that is, and there's a short-term piece of it, which is number one, to get that gut cleaned out, because everybody's gut is holding between 5 and 25 pounds of waste in it that does not get released by going to the bathroom.
Wait, say that, please. This is worth saying this again. Could you please repeat that sentence?
That our guts are holding 5 to 25 or more pounds of waste, even in tiny, thin, slender women and men that I work with. You would not believe what comes out. I'm a colon therapist, so what I can see come out, and the level of relief from that. And one of the reasons I titled the book, It Takes Guts to Be Happy, the neurotransmitter serotonin that makes us happy is made in our gut. It's not made in our brain.
Whoa.
It's made in our gut. So if our gut is all impacted with
that's why there's so many people walking around.
We're super depressed.
Of course. And then you take an antidepressant.
Which has nothing to do with it except makes us crazy and other things. And if you're a teenager taking an antidepressant, it's dangerous.
And then they hear the long list of side effects. And this may cause depression. This may cause suicidal tendencies. This may cause bloody stool. This may cause a third eye.
Yes. Yes, exactly.
Okay, so... wow. Okay, so this is huge.
Piece,
go ahead.
The other piece is that most of us are protein deficient. So I'm a big advocate of digestible protein, and protein is the antidote for carbohydrate cravings or sugar cravings. So if you're out there and you cannot stop eating sugar, or you can't stop eating carbohydrates, you have to get a digestible protein in your body. That could be a protein shake, especially the kind that you talk about here,
right, like a boku shake, but so something protein
that doesn't, and then you don't want to put a ton of fruit in it when you
don't want the dairy.
You don't want the dairy.
Well, we're gonna get to dairy in a second.
We'll get to dairy, but we want to keep that protein as clean as possible. You want to have organic, clean meat.
Protein is the antidote to the sugar and the
carbohydrates
and the gluten, the grains. Okay.
And most people are just not getting enough digestible protein. Vegetarians are often not getting enough digestible protein.
Some vegetarians walk around with a big bloated belly.
Absolutely. And they're eating, they're unhealthy vegetarians. They're eating a lot of dairy, a lot of sugar, a lot of carbs, maybe soy products, which are not good for us, not digestible, and create too much estrogen in our bodies in an unhealthy way. So we want to stay away from soy.
And soy is also 99% is genetically modified.
That's right.
So you're eating Franken food
in general. That's right. Not clean anymore. So it's really important for people to get clean proteins and clean vegetables. And then if you've got Candida in your gut, which most people do, there's a simple herbal program that you can get at your health food store to help you get rid of that. And then for a period of time, not forever, but for a period of time, you need to stick to a sugar-free, even fruit-free diet of just greens and protein. And if for busy people like you, there's lots of ways to do this that are absolutely manageable so that you can, in every piece of your day, there's something you can put in your mouth that didn't take forever to make.
And can you help people along this process? Like, can you guide them along this process?
Absolutely.
And that's what you do.
That's what I do. But I also do it as a group. I have something called the Happy Gut Makeover Cleanse, where we'll go through the cleanse in my book, which is a really easy cleanse to do because it's protein and vegetables, 1 day of juice fasting or smoothies a week. So anybody can do it. Kids can do it. Anybody of any age can do it. You can do it if you're working. It's not too crazy, but what it doesn't have is there's no sugar, no wheat, no dairy, no junk food, but lots and lots of nutrition. Because what I've learned in my practice is that people are starving. Starving. They're starving for nutrition. And even the vegetarians and vegans, some people, depending on your blood type, and blood type is an interesting and important thing to know about, because some people, for instance, if you're an O blood type, you're going to really need a lot of protein.
Oh, I'm an O, all right.
You know. So, for instance,
O positive.
O positive. So protein and vegetables is going to make your body the happiest, and therefore it'll make your mind the happiest, because those carbs are going to create that Candida, which causes depression, anxiety,
fuzzy thinking,
but the cloudy mind,
the belly thing is
it's terrible. No, it's horrible, and it's not just a vanity thing because it makes us feel horrible. That we all know what we want to look like, what we want to look. We want to look in the mirror and see ourselves as beautiful, and that doesn't have to fit society's image of what that is. But in our heart, we do know what that is, and we all deserve to have that. We all can have it.
I'm the 53, 54 year old. I know I don't expect or desire a 24-year-old body, but I know when I'm comfortable.
Yes.
And I know when my clothes fit a certain way, and I know when I move through the universe, on the day-to-day things, I know when I'm feeling good, and we go through life, and some folks too go through life feeling lousy.
Oh, absolutely.
Year after year after year, decade after decade, their whole life.
They do. They feel terrible. I have clients who come in and I'll say, "Do you have headaches?" And they'll say, "Only after every meal."
Oh.
Like, wow, the amount of pain and suffering that people are dealing with on a daily basis. No wonder we see the kind of pain and suffering acted out in the world that we do.
Right.
And since all we can really do is take care of ourselves and the people that we love and that are closest to us, then the most revolutionary thing, one of my teachers, Dick Gregory, said one of the most revolutionary thing we can all do is to be healthy. He said that is the most revolutionary thing we can do, which is to not need medications, to not be addicted to drugs. And it wasn't a moral statement, he said, because otherwise we're not free.
Yeah.
We can't really be free if we're not healthy, if we don't feel vibrant, if we're not connected to our spirit, if we're not allowed to connect to our hearts and then to be connected to each other. And so if we see health as a revolutionary act, then we can allow ourselves, even if we're focused on service to the world, as taking care of ourselves as a priority, because what we are doing is we are part of the revolution just in taking care of ourselves.
And isn't it too? It's also, it goes hand in hand with coming to the realization that you're worthy.
Yes.
That's because that's
It's
a whole
it's
other
huge.
I've been
one.
talking about the whole emotion code and
Yes.
talking about that we have in this. There is somewhere, and maybe if it's something from a childhood or from
Yes.
past life, where we maybe don't feel worthy of having the best of health or feel worthy of taking care of ourselves. There's in many of us, I think there's something in there that is that little punisher. You know?
Oh, absolutely. So, most people, especially your audience, we know a lot about diet and food. And why don't we do that? And it always comes down to that we just don't deserve it. That I'll have clients who said, I went to a friend's house and she offered me lasagna and I couldn't say, oh, I don't eat that. And I said, why? You could call her before and say, this is how I take care of myself. This is what my body needs.
Yes.
And anybody that loves and cares about you is going to be completely comfortable with that. And not only that, you model for someone else that they get to do that same thing.
Right.
And it's amazing the high-functioning people I talk to with big careers, and they're very successful. So it's not like in other parts of their life they don't have boundaries or
Right.
they don't say no somewhere. But in that place, they can't actually show up and take a stand and fight for their own lives.
Well, isn't it also? It's early modeling behavior because I'll just take something as a child. When I was a child, when I was not feeling well, when I was sad, my grandma would either take me to McDonald's and I'd get a chocolate shake,
Right.
okay. Or it would be some type of comfort food. Come home from a long day of school, it would be the first thing would be cookies and punch or something,
Yes.
right? So there's sugar and then there's the carbs or the wheat. So we are, and even when it's somebody's birthday, you celebrate their birthday with sugar, in a cake or something like
Yes.
that. But those are all things that are, I think, also childhood rewards.
Yes.
If you do well, we'll give you a candy. Even if you go to the doctor when you're a kid or the dentist, they give you a lollipop, right?
Yes.
The sugar.
Yes.
Sugar. Let's talk about sugar.
Yes, let's talk about sugar.
Because sugar is also crack. Yeah,
Sugar
it is crack.
Sugar is now science is really seeing it as one of the main sources of cancer.
Sugar.
Sugar.
And cancer loves sugar, doesn't it?
Cancer loves sugar. So, and one of the things we know because of the level of toxicity that we live in, we can't control that, is that sugar is, if there's any one thing it's that we've got to get out of our diets, it's sugar. And it's that detrimental. And to all of the clients that I work with who have cancer, there's no sugar. And yet if you go to a regular hospital, and see a room of people on chemotherapy, there'll be bowls of sugar around. How incongruous is that? So the amount of retraining and reframing that we do, which is, I think one of the things I've loved so much about doing the Happy Gut Makeover Cleanses is to be doing it as a group, because we all need so much support doing this.
Yes.
And I think that idea that we should be able to do this alone, it's only eating, right?
No, it's been ingrained in
It's
us.
so deep.
Yeah.
It's so deep. And it's
emotional.
It's emotional. And we're really, in just doing something as simple as not eating things that are bad for us and eating things that are good for us, it's such a big statement to do that allow that to ourselves on a consistent basis, that we need a huge amount of support to do that. And then we also need support to get the toxins out of our body that are going to come from detoxification, which happens when you stop eating sugar, you stop eating wheat, stop drinking large amounts of alcohol, cut down your coffee consumption, all of these things. So now what's going to happen to all of these toxins? They're floating around in our bloodstream. They can't come out. Why can't they come out? Because our livers are doing this incredible job of trying to keep us alive. And how they do that is they slow our metabolism down. They slow it way down. The older we get, the slower they make it. And it does that because if it was moving as fast as it did when we were kids, that high metabolic rate, then all the toxins that can't move out of our body would be circulating in our bloodstream. They'd be moving into our organs. And our liver is trying to keep us alive by just slowing that toxic process down. How do we change that? We start cleaning our colons. The colon is the gateway to the liver being able to cleanse. So even though colon cleansing is really important to clean out that 5 to 25 pounds that's sitting in your gut and does not make you feel very good, it's really the liver that we're allowing to open and to move. We want it to toxins from the rest of our body to flush.
Well, and when you talk about the colon too, I know so many people who have suffered a lifetime of the SAD diet, right?
Yes.
The standard American diet,
Yes.
SAD. And I actually lost my father to colon cancer. It got to a point with him where it had, and I don't know if it's the thing about maybe some men, men of my father's generation, where he wouldn't see a doctor.
Yes.
He, thought everything would be fine. I got a little heartburn or whatever, and he was extremely overweight. But, there's so much that is associated with the colon. And again, in relationship to the gut and our intestines. But what I find, especially in this country, we have a weird thing about the butt.
Oh, a very big weird thing about the butt.
We have a weird thing about sex.
Yes.
We have a weird thing about our bodies. We have, and it's very, it's in certain countries. I think that we have. I don't want to say that we're anally retentive, but there is some issue about that. Can you talk about that?
Oh, there
it's
is.
a podcast. You can say anything you want.
Yes, no, there is. I mean, the amount of kids that parents tell me are constipated is it's just gigantic, and adults. And when I say constipated, that means you're not going to the bathroom 2 times a day.
Oh,
so. I'll have a client come and they'll say, how often do you go to the bathroom? Well, once a week, and my doctor tells me that's normal. Oh. Okay, that's not normal. No. That's not okay.
That's toxic.
That's toxic. And we do have a very weird thing about the butt in our world and in America, which is why I think and I think in a way we can turn that. We can make lemonade out of that, because if we know that we have that big of a thing about it, then when we open ourselves up to kind of making friends with that and doing colon cleansing and learning to do things like coffee enemas and getting playful and making each other laugh about things like that, then we're not just releasing all those toxins, but we're also releasing all the emotional weight that goes with that. So we can make something wonderful out of this process. Yeah. And it's the same with sexual abuse. It's like if all we can do is just shed light on it, hold each other through it. And this is the area for people, men and women, that have had sexual abuse. They're going to have colon issues. They're going to have constipation issues. They're going to have all kinds of it's going to cause bladder infections, yeast infections, everything, because there's a shutting down of that whole part of the body.
Is that also with like repressed anger?
Absolutely.
So like, let's say you're a child and you want to express your anger, but you don't because maybe you're fearful that your parent will retaliate or you'll get punished. So you clamp down, you hold on to it, right? My goodness, there's so many. Oh my goodness, there's so many things involved.
Yes, sadness. I mean, most of us were not raised by parents that allowed us to express emotion.
No,
we weren't allowed to be sad. We weren't allowed to be angry, especially girls aren't allowed to be angry. Right. Boys aren't allowed to be sad, so they're allowed to be angry, and we can see where that's going. Toughen up. But if we can use all of this as a way back to finding ourselves, and that's what I see my work as. So even though it seems to be focused on these organs, it's really about freeing ourselves up. And when we do that, guess what? Our health comes back. Our bodies are so amazing. Yeah, and they heal. They regenerate. I mean, my body regenerated. The doctors told me I would never have children. I have 2 gorgeous kids that I had at home. Didn't vaccinate them, breastfed them. And I can see in raising them, what they love salads, they love natural foods. They just weren't raised with the kinds of diet that I was. And what did my mom know? It was the 60s.
Right.
She was just doing what people do in those days. Right. But we can do better. And so now if we just kind of push ourselves a little bit past our comfort zone and embrace some things that there's still some taboos around, like I said, like doing coffee enema, cleaning our colon. And even now, because now that I'm talking about protein, I'll notice that that sort of pushes into how vegans and vegetarians feel about things.
Right.
But I love just throwing it all up and going, okay, what really works for you?
Right.
And everybody is different. There's
Right.
no one way, at least in my experience, no one diet that works for every person.
But one thing that you can say is that there are certain things that people should stay away
There's
from.
certain things.
Doesn't matter.
Absolutely.
So let's
Sugar is one.
Yeah, let's go at this point. Let's talk. And folks, if you're just tuning in, aren't you lucky? My guest today is Julia Loggins, and she is the author of Dare to Detoxify, and It Takes Guts to Be Happy, a 21-day cleansing plan to heal your belly and recharge your life. And we're going to go through some of the things right now. We can let our listeners know some things that they really should be eliminating or staying away from if they want to have a happy, healthy gut. What are some of those things?
Well, besides staying away from wheat, processed foods, junk foods, food colorings, one of the most important things they can do is to drink lemon water in the morning. Start off with lemon water that alkalizes our body, alkalizes
so not
our
the
gut.
coffee with the not the coffee
Maybe
the
not
first
for
thing in the
very
morning.
First thing in the morning. Maybe not for the very first thing in the morning. And then maybe I could.
It's just it's a total it's just a
It's
habit thing. Yeah.
Coax you into switching to matcha. Do you like matcha?
I
Which is
tried it.
tea. You don't love it.
And there is the whole. It's the whole. It's the whole. Ceremonial thing.
Yes.
I get up, I'm just like sleepy.
Yes.
I have the coffee beans and I can grind them. I can
Yes.
smell the coffee
Yes.
beans, and I have the water on the thing, and it's just. And I swear, it's more of just like it's a habit.
Yes.
So, but if I can switch that up, and instead of going for the beans and grinding the beans. First,
Yes.
do a large glass of pure
with
water
lemon in
with
it.
lemon in it. Okay,
Yes,
okay.
that's a good beginning.
I'll do that.
Okay, that could be a beginning.
So we'll start with
and
that.
then start with that. And then if the next thing you do could be to get some protein into your body, and if you're not a person that likes breakfast, lots of people don't want to eat breakfast.
I'm not a big breakfast person,
Yes.
but I will if it's
you
good.
You could drink breakfast. Would you do a smoothie?
Of course.
Okay, and with all sorts of those good things in it that you're always talking
Yes.
about.
So in a
here on the air.
smoothie, what would you do? Like on a normal day,
Yeah.
Julia?
So my smoothie is super simple. I'll throw my supplements into it. And I'll do just my protein drink and water. I'll just put water in it, and maybe some greens. I like to use some adaptogenic herbs. An adaptogenic herb is an herb that has the brain inside of it to figure out what it needs to do for us. Right. So we love those, and our bodies they digest them really well because what we want to do is to keep things really digestible. Right. The other thing that I might do first thing in the morning is put my crock pot on so that I have hot food to come home to at night. Mm-hmm. So instead of thinking, oh no, when am I going to cook? When am I going to do something that takes an hour? I can throw some vegetables and some pieces of chicken, and you could put curry powder, or in my book, there's recipes for things like that, or in my cleanse, we talk about recipes like this all the time. Okay. What you can do in 5 minutes to sort of get ready for the end of your day. Okay. And then it would be another wonderful thing to do is to say 10 things that you feel grateful for. That just shifts our minds. That's all of these. It's really important to heal our gut is to keep shifting our point of view, and just take a minute to just take some deep breaths. That's always a good place to come back to. And that's food in a way. Right. And then the next thing, and then if you're going to have a cup of coffee, then make it that period of the day where you're going to have that cup of coffee. It's got to be organic.
Yes, and we know why.
Yeah, we know why.
Our listeners don't know why.
Okay, so we want it to be organic because what we don't want to put inside us is any more pesticides, and the way that it's processed and made, and we want to get the cleanest foods in us.
Coffee beans and wine grapes are the most heaviest pesticide sprayed crops around. So organic coffee, organic coffee beans. I don't care if it costs a little bit more. I'm always encouraging listeners to please get organic coffee.
Yes.
Because what happens is when you have those beans that are sprayed with those toxic chemicals, and then you grind them, okay, which makes them even more toxic, and then you pour hot water on that, you're just making a soup of toxicity. So organic coffee.
Yes.
And then go ahead.
Yes. And then another thing that's important for the gut is to understand something called food combining. Food combining means protein and vegetables goes together. Carbohydrates and vegetables go together. Proteins and carbohydrates do not go together.
Wait a second. Proteins and carbs. So a sandwich?
A sandwich.
A sandwich.
A sandwich of spaghetti, pasta
spaghetti
and meatballs.
Yeah, lasagna.
Lasagna. Every classic American and many ethnic dishes. Everything. And what happens is because we don't have the enzymes for both proteins and carbohydrates,
so it can't
be made at the same time. So then what happens? It's just a lump in our gut.
Yes.
And we gain weight and we feel terrible.
Like glue.
And our blood sugar crashes.
Yes. And then we just crave those things all over again,
yes.
right?
And then we can even develop allergies to them. Right. So what we want to do is learn about food combining. There's a food combining chart in my book, but it's easy. Once you do it enough, it becomes really easy. In the beginning, when it seems complicated, it's good to have a food combining chart on your refrigerator scanned into your phone. And so that the other thing that I find people can get enormous benefit from is taking food enzymes. So food enzymes are a very simple product that you can get at your health food store, and it has all the enzymes that your body naturally makes. So the most important enzyme that we're looking for, and the one that we are the most depleted of, especially if we're over 40, although these days with as much stress as kids deal with, I would say it's everybody over 20, is hydrochloric acid. Our stomach makes hydrochloric acid. That's what digests protein. If we're over 40, we're probably not making it at all. So what happens with food is it's not getting digested. And then it doesn't matter how healthy we're eating, we're not digesting our food, and that's a lump in our stomach. Right. That can throw our acid-alkaline balance off, and even that can cause a yeast infection, just that by itself. So food enzymes with each meal can make an enormous difference in your digestibility, in your blood sugar levels, and in your mood.
And through your practice, you have all of this stuff too,
yes.
Don't you?
I sure do.
Yes, you do. Okay, so some of the things to stay away from, right?
Yes.
We had the gluten, the
yes.
wheat, the carb,
yes.
those carbs,
sugar,
because again, that's the devil too.
Yeah.
We didn't.
You can have stevia. Which is
I can't stand stevia.
What about monk fruits? Have you tried monk fruit?
I haven't really.
Monk fruit powder?
I haven't tried the monk fruit powder.
Or Lecante? As you can buy it. That's one of the names
Lecante?
it's sold over.
Yeah.
Yes,
no, because the thing with stevia, because everybody's like, when I've tried different powdered drinks
yes.
and things like that, I always look just like with anything with aspartame.
Yes.
That is
Stay
also
away.
that aspartame
That's
is the devil.
That is the devil.
It is evil. But I will. It's an excitotoxin, folks, and it excites your brain cells to death.
Yes.
But what I'll do is I'll look and it says stevia on it. And I'm like, there's an aftertaste that I
yes.
can't stand. So I just stay away from that as much as I can. What I've been doing,
yes,
because I still want that little sweetness.
Yes.
I have done, and it's low glycemic, is
yes.
like a coconut,
yes,
coconut
that's
nectar.
Wonderful. Coconut nectar.
Coconut nectar.
Agave is also not bad.
Agave's a little sweet.
It's a little sweet, but coconut nectar is better.
Yeah. I know it's not.
Yeah.
It's not super sweet, but it gives me just a little something.
Yes.
So
Well, try the monk fruit. You might like that.
Okay.
It's a zero glycemic.
So we got, we're getting limited here.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have no gluten.
Yes.
No dairy.
No cow dairy. So
no
if you're going to have some dairy, go for the goat.
Goat.
Because goats are about our size.
I
They're
love
about
goat
125
cheese.
pounds. You can have that.
I can have goat cheese?
Yes, you can have goat cheese.
Really?
Yes.
What about sheep's milk?
Yes, that's good too. Because the difference here is that goats are about our size. They don't usually get larger than 150 pounds. Cows, 2,000 pounds. So the makeup of that milk and the makeup of
and the way it's processed.
And the way it's processed is, forget that.
Pus milk.
Yes.
They say pus milk. Yeah.
Forget that. So, my kids never had an ear infection ever because they didn't have any cow milk. And so we really want to get cow milk out of our lives.
But we can use other kinds of alternative
rice,
nut
dairy,
milks.
nut milk.
Right, flaxseed milk. I love flaxseed milk.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it tastes like milk.
Yeah, it's delicious.
Yeah, and stay away from the soy milk. Right?
Yeah, stay away from the soy milk.
Almond milk.
Almond milk.
You can make your own almond milk. Some of the stuff that they have in the stores is very heavily processed.
Yes.
Guar gum or whatever on it.
Yes.
So some of the rice milks are not bad.
Yes, that's true.
They're okay. The coconut milks, again, they add a little bit of extra stuff in there sometimes.
But
that's
all
not
of these would, no matter how processed they are, would still be a better
Still be
choice
better
than
than
milk.
than cow's
Than
milk.
cow
Okay.
milk. Still be better.
Okay, so we got the cow's milk, the sugar, the
processed wheat.
the processed wheat,
The junk food.
and then what?
Food coloring.
Food coloring.
Yeah.
And we already kind of know what that would be. What else? Are you going to take away my glass of wine, Julia?
No, I'm not going to take away your glass of
Are
wine.
you sure? Because I'm sure there's sugar.
Yeah.
I know there's sugar in it.
There is sugar.
White wine better than red?
Red wine is actually better.
Really?
It usually is less processed. Now, if you're doing with this Candida thing that we were starting to talk about.
Yes.
So for
the beginning
month,
for
just a small chunk of time,
right.
I think it's important for us to look at any cleanse we do as just for
a
this
cleanse
moment.
is a cleanse.
A cleanse is it's
probably
not for
not.
the
You
rest
shouldn't
of your
celebrate
life.
every night that you got through your cleanse day by having a glass
of wine. But then you can come back to that. And if you do a cleanse a couple of times a year, then what we do is we retain the privilege of being able to have fun celebratory foods for the whole rest of our lives. If we don't cleanse a couple times a year and we're
gonna die,
and then you are like some of my clients who will never get to have wine again because they're cancer survivors or they're dealing with some catastrophic disease where they have no more room for celebratory foods. So that's what we want.
Burn the fuse
at
both ends, and you got no fuse.
You got no fuse left. So we want to still be able to play and enjoy our foods and celebrate with the people we love.
Okay, so here's a question, and I'm getting this from the Cosmos.
Yes.
If people want to, first of all, if they want to get a hold of your books, this in particular one, It Takes Guts to Be Happy, a 21-day cleansing plan to heal your belly and recharge your life.
They can go on Amazon.
They can go on Amazon.
And it's also I recorded it, so they can, if they'd like to listen to it rather than read it, it's
so
on Amazon Audible.
So Amazon Audible. They can also go to your website.
They can go to my website,
well?
which is julialoggins.com.
Can you say that again?
julialoggins.com.
And that's LOGGINS.
Right.
julialoggins.com. And in addition to getting the books, there's a whole lot of stuff that they have access to, right?
Absolutely.
You have some audio programs.
Yes, and I have a free Happy Gut Tips. So if you go on my website and just press that button, you'll get 21 days of free gut tips that will come to you. And those are great. I took pieces from the book, and just to have somebody be able to see something every single day.
So every day, if you sign up every day, you get like a little
free,
reminder?
A little reminder of something
see,
interesting.
I would like to see that in my inbox.
Something that uplifts you up, something to remind you, and then there's my Happy Gut cleanses, and they're really fun. They're group teleconferences. I have people all over the country of all ages doing it. It doesn't matter whether you're on the standard American diet. I have a gentleman who has done many of them, and he's an ultra marathon runner. Mm-hmm. So it's a big, wide, diverse crowd, and it's really fun. We all do the cleanse together. We kind of move into it together, move out of it together,
right.
And then I'm there for support in the middle of it all.
And so people can say what they're going through.
Yes.
Because I can imagine that there will probably be with me. There'll be detox, and there'll be a little bit of it's kind of like, well, it's like if you're a heroin addict and you go cold turkey, you're going to have a couple days. I know that coffee's not good for me, because I know when I have tried to stop I've done juice cleanses.
Yes.
Okay, and on a juice cleanse, you do not drink coffee.
Right.
And so the first 2 days without coffee, I had a headache.
Yes.
Oh, I had a headache. It was withdrawals.
Yes, the withdrawals. And so there's tips all through my book on how to deal with those comfortably. And that's one of the great things that I learned about through all my years is how to detox without suffering. Yeah. It is actually possible to detoxify your body without suffering. So I don't want your listeners to think of this as something where they're just it's going to be hell for a period of time. There's ways to do it, whether it's a coffee enema, which removes the toxins right out of the bloodstream, can take away a headache in half an hour.
Do you tell people how to do
a coffee
enema?
I absolutely break it down and tell people
so they can,
exactly
so they
how
can
to
come
do it.
to you for different colon therapy,
yes,
right? Not just the coffee things. I know. So they can come to you for that, or they can go to your website,
yes,
JuliaLoggins.com, and get information about how they can create their own.
They can do their own
enema,
program,
right?
I'm
organic coffee,
and organic,
well.
and I'm all about empowering people to do as much as they can on their own.
Right.
There's a lot we can do on our own. It's great to have support.
It's because you're a healer, and you want to heal people, and you want them to heal themselves and to heal others.
Yes.
So that's what I love about you, is that it's about teaching people. What is that thing? You can give a guy a fish, or you can teach him how to fish. Oh, you know what I'm saying?
I do.
That biblical thing.
Yes.
But that's the idea, is to share this information and to help as many people as possible.
As many people as possible, and so that we can do as much as we can on our own. I mean, I go to people to get things, and when I fled the Santa Barbara fires and I went up to Cambria in December, I decided to do a juice fast because I was on my own, and I found a wonderful colon therapist and reminded me why people come to people like me, because it's really nice to have somebody do that and to be in their office and to feel the safety of that experience. And if you've never had a colonic and it seems scary to you, it's an incredible gift to give yourself.
Yes.
It's really, you feel, not only will you feel so much lighter, but there's a quality of, euphoria seems so dramatic a word, but it's an all's right with the world feeling, because you're pumping serotonin through your gut and you just feel so calm. People come to me for colonics usually for gut issues, but once they really get to know how they feel after colonics, they'll come to me in emotional crises, because that's the time that they're going to just get in touch with themselves. And
you need to release that.
You need to release that. You need to release that emotional, that feeling, that memory.
Okay, so here's a question. So if I were to begin the 21-day cleanse, okay?
Yes.
If I were to begin that, do I start off with a colon cleanse?
It's the best way to do it. It's the most comfortable way to do it, and you suffer the least.
Right, and it starts you up. You go, oh my God, that feels so much. I feel so great.
You start off with a huge win, and you sort of have that feeling like, I'm not going to put trash back in this body.
I just cleaned out the garage. Right. I'm not going to put. I'm not going to park up.
And also, I feel really good about myself. Like, you feel kind of like, how you do something when you've done something really wonderful for yourself, or you feel really good about yourself, and that's something that it lets you hold on to that throughout that whole period, and so it's a great way to begin.
Okay. So I will be calling you and scheduling an appointment.
It's not scary. It's not uncomfortable. It's not painful. It's very emotionally cathartic, and it's not. It's something that can also be done before a colonoscopy. You don't have to drink that horrible, yucky stuff that they give you. You can come to a colon therapist. It's actually AMA approved.
Are you serious?
I'm serious. It's an AMA
because
approved procedure.
My doctor it's that time thing when they're like, you have to have it done. You have to have it done. And what it was that because I had it done years ago. And I swore to God and the angels above that I was never going to do it again. And it wasn't. They didn't make me drink a big jug of thing. They gave me a little bottle of clear liquid. This clear liquid was some kind of sodium thingy.
Oh.
Okay?
Yes.
Sodium, whatever it was. I took it because I'm supposed to take it. I was taking it the night before. I woke up with the worst migraine I've ever had. Now I had migraines. I don't have them now,
Yes.
but I used to have migraines my entire life. Horrific migraines. This migraine from that sodium bottle thing
Yes.
that they gave me was so off the charts that I was in so much pain that when I went to the appointment and they said, and I said, what was that?
Yes.
Well, it's this thing you have to take, and I said. I can't believe my headache. And they said, well, we can reschedule if you want. We could do this another time. I said, oh, no, you are going to do this
Yes.
now because I will never drink that again. So how wonderful if it's true, really.
Yes, it is. It's really true.
So I can go get a colonic with you and then I
yes.
don't have... Oh, okay. Done.
Yes,
Bingo. Done.
You can do that.
Yeah.
Yes, you can do that.
Yeah.
And the other thing that I do in my practice, which is helping people besides getting them on things like protein drinks and green drinks and wonderful products that make things fast and easy, things like Sun Potion, which have all the clean, organic, non-GMO, adaptogenic herbs. What I really like about the way Sun Potion does their products is they do each herb by itself. And adaptogenic herbs are better taken singly. And there's some companies that I am in love with, like Premier Research. They do things very clean, but they'll put 27 ingredients in every bottle. And when you're dealing with a sensitive population like I have, and however, like now we all are a sensitive population because now our guts are gone and we're dealing with stress. And so now we're all sensitive. 27 ingredients is too much for the body to deal with. So it's great to be able to use, number one, if you take a product, you know how it's going to you know what it's going to do. So if for any reason you have a reaction to it, you go,
it was that.
It was that, instead of I wonder what the heck it is.
Right.
And then you can figure out how to put 2 or 3 together that work really well together. I like to start people on green adaptogen or ashwagandha because it's very good for immune building. And there's a whole world of things like that as people integrate into their bodies and they start to get food and they start to get actual nutrition, it's phenomenal how much better we'll feel, not just our bodies, but our minds. So if your body feels strong, but you're depressed, and that's the issue you have, because a lot of people I see, that's the piece they're dealing with. It's the mental, emotional piece. Yeah. There's, you don't have to, therapy is great, and I'm a huge believer, but you don't have to do the antidepressant thing. You don't have to do it with chemicals. You can do it by cleaning out your body and then adding herbs that will calm your nerves.
You are a wealth of information, Julia Loggins.
That's what you get when you live this many years make it,
It. Oh, I want to thank you so very much for being with us today, and I want to have you back. Definitely would love to have you back. And so again, folks, if you want to get more information, get her books, sign up for her newsletter. Also, please take a look at all of the wonderful stuff that she's offering you to help guide you on a cleanse to heal your body, to heal your belly and recharge your life. Julia Loggins, you want to go to julialoggins.com, Julia, LOGGINS.com. Get the book, It Takes Guts to Be Happy. And also while you're there, also pick up the book, Dare to Detoxify. I dare ya. I dare ya. Thank you again so very much.
Thank you.
Any final words you want to have for the audience, or any ways that they can reach you other than the website?
Be brave and do one wonderful thing for your body today, whether it's to be grateful, to be calm while you eat. If you're struggling and you feel like you've done absolutely everything there is to do and there's nothing that can help you, I promise you there is, because I have been you. So go to my website. There's a lot of free things there, and there's hope.
Thank you so very much, Julia. I appreciate you. Folks, please do check her out, julialoggins.com. I want to thank you. I want to thank you, the listener, you, for listening. Thank you so very much. And if you want to make sure that you never miss an episode, you can always subscribe to the podcast at iTunes or iHeartRadio, or better yet, I highly suggest to you that you subscribe to the YouTube channel, the Out of the Box Radio YouTube channel. That way, when a new show comes up, and in particular this one, when this show is up, you can easily send this in an email or you can post it on your social media. That is the best way to share this information about Julia and the work that she does and the information that is available. And again, if this does not apply to you, but I know it does. If it doesn't apply to you, you know this will apply to somebody else that you love and care about. Let's definitely share this information as much as we can. So until next week, I want to remind you to always think outside of the box. Bye for now.